Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to build a computer. Stay tuned for more. Hey guys, so as you can see from that intro right there, yes, today we are going to be building our very own computer. Well, I've already built mine, it's right here in the back, but when you guys are watching this video, you're going to be seeing me showing you guys how to, build your first computer. If you've never had one before, or if you've never had experience of building one. And if you have, or you built a couple computers, there's nothing wrong, and you can go back to the basics again. I still watch PC builds from time to time. I just find it satisfying. Back to our thing here. There's going to be two parts to this video. Okay, so the first part will be a quick introduction to what we're going to do here, which includes an overview of the stuff that we have here, as well as some unboxing footage, just for the heck of it. So the second part will be the actual walkthrough of the computer build itself. Now this process will involve every basic thing that you need to build a computer, okay? All the way from the installation of your CPU to the installation of your RGB lighting, peripherals, anything that you want to do. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention this thing is tempered glass? Whew, beautiful. Enjoy and sit back and relax if you're just watching for the heck of it. But if you are building along with me, do pay close attention. It may or may not make sense to you. You may or may not have to go back and forth. Even if it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm the one who built it. And to help you guys along the way, I will be posting timestamps on the description below. If you ever need to go back to a particular part, or if you need to skip forward, I try to provide what I can provide. But I hope you guys are feel content with what I have. But anyways, enjoy this video, and this is actually my first actual YouTube video. Please do not hesitate to leave a comment, leave any feedback. If you guys see any concerns, any compliments, any negatives, any positives, please, I would really love them. So let's not waste any more time, because this is going to be a long video. Let's flash back to when this bad boy first came to life. Alright, now time for some unboxing. Alright, so for a quick rundown of our PC components, for our brain or the CPU, we will be using Ryzen's 5 1600, which is a 6-core 12-thread processor. It packs a base clock of 3.2 GHz, which can be overclocked to 3.6. For the motherboard, we will be using ASRock's AB350 Pro 4, which will also allow us to do some slight overclocking. For our graphics card, we have the newly released RX 580 from ASRock themselves. It is the 8GB version. For our case, we have the 275R carbide from Corsair. It is tempered glass, and it is the white version, which will help us illuminate lighting later on. Alright, so for our RAM kits, we have the Trident Z RGB from G-Skill. It is a 2x8 for 16 gigs, and it is clocked at a base of 3000 megahertz, which will be insanely fast for Ryzen processors. Okay, for our data storage, we will be using the HP S700 256GB SSD, because in 2018, when you choose an SSD, you can't go back to an HDD. It quickens boot times and processing times by over. It's fast. It's fast. I don't know if you guys can see it, but for our power supply, we will be using the EVGA 600 watts bronze. It is semi-modular, meaning that we can modify the cables to our wishes if we wish to save up cable space. And that pretty much does it for the PC itself. Now for our peripherals, we have an RGB lighting kit when we want to add some more lighting to our case later on. Then we have 3 additional fans from Asia Horse. This case already comes with 2 120mm fans, one in the front, one in the back, and those 3 fans will help with cooling, and they are also RGB. So, and then lastly, but optional, we have a Wi-Fi adapter from TP-Link. This is for those of you who don't have an Ethernet connection or an Ethernet cable to connect to. So this will allow us to connect to the Wi-Fi, and I will be showing you guys that later on. Before we begin our PC building process, a few things should be worth noting. If you're a beginner and you've never had an experience building a computer, it is recommended that you work with a flat wooden surface just so there won't be any form of current running through. Okay. Second thing, try to avoid carpentry because, as we all know, carpets generate electrostatic discharge. So here we have a wooden floor. Alright, so for the third thing, we have a few additional tools here which will greatly help us out when we build the computer here. The first one is the ESD strap. This is for those who want to be very cautious with their workflow. It will basically negate any electricity that runs through your body as you wrap it around your wrist and then you connect the plier to anything that is a bare metal. A good example would be your case itself. We have the Phillips screwdriver. This one you basically need because you can't actually connect any parts of your computers without. For any reason that your CPU cooler doesn't already come pre-applied with thermal paste, or if you actually wish to change it yourself, thermal paste will come in handy. For instructions, I would say to follow the manual itself. Next up, we have the USB flash drive. This is for those who will be booting up the computer later on with a Windows version, which is what I will be doing. You will need to have done this beforehand, and it takes a while, not too long, but a while. And the instructions for that, I'll post a link for that. And lastly, we have the system speaker. This is a little device that will help us diagnose the computer later on when we post it. It basically produces a beep that will tell us if anything is wrong with the motherboard. Hopefully everything will be good. Okay, and that should be it. So for this building process, I'm actually going to show you guys a special segment of it. It's known as breadboarding. It's not something that you would normally do, but in this case, since you guys are starting off, it's very helpful if you want to be cautious, because what it does is it ensures that your core components are working properly so that you don't actually have any items that are DOAs or dead on arrivals. And the way you perform it is you need several things. You need the motherboard, which I already have prepared. You need the CPU itself along with the cooler. You need the power supply, which we'll be using to power it on. And then you need the RAM to breadboard. You don't actually need both RAMs, you just need one stick of RAM, and that is it. As you can see, I've already have the motherboard placed out. What you need is the IO shield later on, as well as SATA cables. You don't actually need the disk driver because the latest drivers are located on the website themselves, which you guys can look up later on. Right, so the next thing that we are going to do is unbox the CPU itself. This is the Ryzen 5 1600. As I've said, it is a hexa-core with 12 threads with a base clock of 3.2 gigahertz. Right. This is the CPU itself, nifty little thing. And this is our stock cooler, known as the Rate Spire. It packs a heavy punch, but if you want a better cooler, I would suggest going after an aftermarket, as it will provide better cooling options. Now for the CPU installation, the first thing that you want to do actually is locate the CPU socket, which is right here. Right, it is this I would say rectangular or cubic, and the way to unlock it is you push out on this lever right here and just pull it up. Right, and now to install the CPU, which is right here, we're just gonna unbox it. Alright, now this is the important part. When you handle this CPU, you want to hold it by its side. You want to avoid touching the pins on the underside because you can easily bend them, and those will cause problems. Perfect, right? To place it on our socket, you want to look for the golden triangle or arrow. Okay? And then you're gonna find triangle and arrow on the CPU socket, which I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is right here. Alright, and we're just gonna match it up. Gently place it until it drops into place. There we go. That's how you know that it's dropped, because you'll hear a drop and then it won't be moving. And to secure, we're just gonna pull the lever back down It is gonna be tension-like, but don't worry, don't panic. It's supposed to do that. And just lock it back in place, and you're done. We're gonna take out our cooler, and this is where the thermal paste comes in. Like I said earlier, mine already comes pre-applied with thermal paste. But if for some reason you do wanna change it, go ahead. Just follow the instructions on the manual. And since we are using in a stock cooler, we won't be needing the brackets that we have here. So we're actually gonna unscrew them. There are two ways it can go in, but a quick tip would be to align it so that you won't have a hard time connecting the cable, which is the fan cable, to the CPU fan header. So the way I'm gonna do mine is I'm actually gonna just do it this way, and you just wanna place it down. And now the way you wanna screw this in is you wanna do it on an X pattern. I wanna start over here, and then I'm gonna switch over here, and over here, and over here. And we're just gonna keep doing it and repeating it until all of them have been screwed in properly. So you wanna do it slightly at a time, not all the way. Don't apply too much force, and you basically stop when you can't turn them anymore. I'm gonna route this so that it won't be a burden to my RAM sticks. But there's only one way that this can also come in. There we go. Moving on to our RAM installation. Again, for this breadboard, we're only gonna utilize one, although we are gonna need both later on. So you see this little notch over there? Now, as I've said, there's only one way that can actually fit in. So for this one, I'm actually gonna have to turn it around, okay? And the way you install it is, it depends on the motherboard, but for this particular one, we are gonna install it on A2 and B2. So the second and the fourth slot. Okay. Oh, first off, you're gonna wanna open it. Now just give it some ports, and it will lock in. Okay, it will have some tension. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to do that. Now the last thing we need to do to breadboard is to just unbox the power supply. I love the fact that it's semi-modular, because that way we don't need all the cables, and we can save up space. And for this breadboarding, we're only gonna need two things, and that is the 24-pin power cable and the 8-pin CPU cable. See here, this is the power cable. It will click into place. Now the next part, CPU cable. And there we go, we're done. But you do want to make sure that your power supply is turned off. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay. O means off, I means on, so just make sure it's off for now. Yep. Now we can turn it on. To jumpstart the motherboard, you can already tell that it's working. As you can see, the RAM is lighting up. To jumpstart it, you want to use a screwdriver, and you want to touch the two power button pins. For this one, it'll be the top, the second and third from the top, from the right. You just want to, and voila! There you go. So we have finished our breadboarding, and it was indeed a success. everything was fine. Right? So the next thing to do now is to actually install our motherboard into the case itself. You guys may have not noticed, but I've actually went ahead and installed the second RAM. I've unplugged the power cable and the CPU cable because we don't need that till later on. Right? So the next thing we're going to do is going to move this to the side and unbox the case itself. So nice and pretty. This is a special type of case because, as you can see here, you're only able to open it using an Allen screw. Yes, some may see that as a downfall, but to be honest, if you just use your head and lay the case on its side, you won't have any trouble at all. We will slowly lift it up. Look at that. Look at that. It's a nice, spacious place. Does come with accessories. Will aid us in our installation. Oh, look at that. Good job by Corsair for having organized our screws here. Very helpful. Thank you for that. In order to mount our motherboard, we are going to need to apply standoffs into these holes in the motherboard. But as you can see here, this board already comes with pre-applied standoffs, which is a very good thing. Saves us a lot of time. And since this is an ATX version, we may or may not require to all sides. You never know. Here is where the I/O shield comes into place. As some people say, this is probably the hardest part of the build, as it may take some getting used to. Basically align it with your motherboard. For this case, we're just gonna do it like here. Just snap in place. Just like that. In order to install this motherboard, we are actually gonna need these screws. I don't know if it's gonna be the same for everybody, but just play with them and they will be the ones that fit in with the motherboard. The holes in the motherboard should line up with the standoff on the case. All you need to do is just take the screws. Whoopsie daisy. Lost a screw there. These are just used to prevent contact, to prevent the motherboard from making contact with the case itself. So don't over tighten them, as you can damage the motherboard. Now that the motherboard has been installed, it is time to plug in the power supply again. And here's where the semi-modular feature comes in handy, because we don't actually need all of these. These are for the SATA cables. This one is for the graphics card. Okay. There will be labels on the power supply if yours is semi-modular. If you're not sure where to plug in which, look over the manual. There we go. Just like that. Oh no, I was mistaken. We actually have to do this. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention it. If yours does have a power supply shroud on the bottom, go ahead and turn the fan upside down. Now we are going to screw these in using the other ones. Alright, now that the power supply has been installed, let me just go ahead and tell you guys where these cables will be. Molex collectors, these will either connect to your fans. Then you have your SATA cables. This will connect to your SSD or HDD if you have both. This is the 8-pin PCI connector, which will connect to your graphics card. As I've shown before, this is the 24-pin one, which will be your power cable that will connect to your motherboard. And lastly, you have your CPU pin, which will connect to your processor. Okay, that's for the power supply. Now here's for the panel headers. These four right here will be responsible for your power switch, the reset switch, and the LEDs. Over here, this is your USB 3.0 cable. And lastly, you have your HD audio cable. I've went ahead and routed the cables to their destined locations. Since I will be attaching our SSD to the 2.5 drive cages in the back, I've left the SATA cables connector here, as well as the Molex collectors, because as I've mentioned earlier, I will be adding more fans. If you look here to the front, I've went ahead and pulled the HD audio cable, which is right here, as it will connect to the bottom left corner of the motherboard. Then we have our panel connectors, which will all connect to the bottom right corner. Then we have our USB 3.0, which will connect right beside the power cable. And speaking of the power cable, which is also right beside the USB 3.0, then we have our 8-pin PCI connector, which will connect to the graphics card. I will be adding on later on. And lastly, we have our CPU pin, which will connect right over here to the top of the motherboard. As you can see, I have plugged in the HD audio, the panel connectors, the USB 3.0, the power cable, and the CPU pin. Now it's time to connect the SSD, and we will do so by unscrewing drive cages. Like I said, if you don't already have one of these, you should really get yourself one. They will dramatically speed up your computer. Alright, now what's over here? Now we will take these 4 special screws. Good. Again, you don't want to over tighten it, just for the sake of the hardware. Screw it back in together, just like so. Now these are where the SATA cables come in. Now if you were to have both an SSD and an HDD, then you would use both. But for this one, we will only have SSD, so we will only need one. Whichever one you use is up to your preference or how you want to manage your cable. But for me, I feel like I'm going to use the straight one. You just click right in, just like that. Now you want to route the other one, slide it through second grommet. You see, these are all SATA ports. As far as I know, I don't think it really matters which one you connect it to, but I'm just gonna go by order and connect this to the first one, which will be this one right here. And again, it should just click through, just like that. So for all of you guys out there that do not have an Ethernet cable or an Ethernet connection, we have here a Wi-Fi adapter. That way you can just connect to the Wi-Fi network. These are the manuals and the drivers. And again, you won't actually need a disk driver because the latest drivers will be located on the website. And these are your 2 antennas, which you will connect to the adapter. Alright, so before we install it, we're gonna locate the PCI connectors for the Wi-Fi adapters. And here you actually have 3 or 4 of them. One up here, 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 and here. Align it so that it won't be in the way of your graphics card. Since I'm probably gonna connect my GPU here, I will more than likely put it here. So in that case, you're gonna find the corresponding expansion slot. You should hear a click indicating that you have attached it. There we go. Fasten it back in. Attach the antenna, and you can simply do that by rotating them. Now you can redirect them by flipping, and voila! For the last core component of our computer build, we have finally arrived at the graphics card, the beautiful RX 580. Premium. Look at this big boy. Wow. I do apologize about that. I had to do a little skipping there. The problem was this particular graphics card, the prongs at the end of it were a little bit bent, so I could not easily place it into the slot. I had to do a modification there to get them to fit, but it took a minute or two, but we got it done. So it's all good to go now. Now the last thing we just need to do is connect the 8-pin PCI into its slot over here. There we go. Hey guys, so as you may have noticed, my attire has changed, and that is because I took the time to clean myself up after I realized that the battery died. Anywho, back to our PC build here. I figured that I would just go ahead and post it since we have basically connected all of our core components. We have the brain, which is the CPU, the motherboard, 2 RAM sticks, data storage in the back, power supply, cables plugged in, and we have our graphics card. For the moment of truth, to see if this thing gives life, I'm turning on power extension as well as the power supply. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, the fans are spinning. Okay, alright, there goes the RAM. Pretty lights. I really like those lights. And now for the monitor to boot. There we go. Alright. Well, Houston, we have liftoff here. And it's saying that because of the fact that we haven't actually plugged in a USB drive yet for our window installation. So yeah, it's gonna do that. I will show you guys that later on. But for now, I'm gonna speed things up and just fast forward to when I've pretty much installed the lighting kit as well as the extra fans. But I will show you guys the end result here. Alright, so here's the update to our PC build. I went ahead and installed the case fans as well as the RGB lighting. LED strips, I mean. As far as cable management goes, it's not the best yet. I'm still gonna work on it. I would say this thing is 90% done. Yeah guys, this is the PC right now. We have 2 controllers. One is for the fan, one's for the RGB strip. So just turn it on. Ignore that. That's because I don't have it plugged into the monitor. But yeah guys, this is the new build right now. Don't worry, I will still go ahead and show you some B-roll when this whole thing is done. I will be also showing you how to set up your new computer, get your USB ready with Windows installed in it. Okay. So as I've mentioned earlier, you should have already had your USB ready, which has the Windows installation. Again, if you need to do that, I have the link right down below. Anyways, I have it plugged in, and now we're gonna boot the computer into the BIOS by repeatedly hitting the delete key until it pops up.
A few moments later. One eternity later.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
There we go. Alrighty. And now this is known as the BIOS. As you can see, it does give us specifications of what our computer has. So right now we do have the motherboard, which is the AB350 Pro 4. It does have our processor. Okay, it recognizes our dual channel slot for our memory. This is where we do overclocking right over at OC Tweaker. Not just to overclock the CPU, but to overclock RAM. Okay, tool. Right. This gives you basic information about your computer's temperature, your fan speeds, and all that. Also where you can individually control your fan speeds, fan curves to better suit your preferences or your needs. Alright. And then here, in the boot option is where you actually see your boot priorities and which one goes first. As you can see, they are ordered numerically, so whichever is on number 1 will be recognized as the primary boot drive. And since we're installing Windows 10, we want to change our boot option number 1 from our installed SSD to our USB, which we have right over here. Click that, and now the only thing we have to do is go to exit, save our changes, hit yes, and the system will restart and we will be prompted with the Windows installation. As you can see, there's the Windows logo. I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through it, but for the actual installation part, I will fast forward it because that may actually take a while depending. It depends on the computer. Your language will be English, of course. time, and keyboard will be United States. I'm gonna hit next, install now. It's gonna ask you for a product key. If you have one already, go ahead and type it in. If you don't, that is fine, you can do it later. You just have to hit I don't have a product key. When you installed Windows, whichever version you installed it on, for me, I did the Pro. Hit next, just accept license terms, hit next. If you already have Windows running on your computer, which we don't, then you would actually choose upgrade. But since we are installing Windows for the first time, we would choose the custom installation, which will install Windows only. And now you're gonna choose the only hard drive that we do have here, which was the SSD. Okay, you can hit next. There we go. It is now installing. This might take a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward to the end of it, and I'll see you on the flip side. Hey guys, so if you've reached this page, that means your installation has gone by smoothly. If for any reason your installation has gone into a boot loop where it appears to install but then it restarts the computer and the installation begins again, that is because we have actually set the boot drive at the disk. The way you would fix that is you basically turn off the computer, then you unplug the USB drive, push it back in again, and then when you boot it up, just go into the BIOS, change the boot drive back into the whatever hard drive that you had on or SSD drive. When you restart the computer, it shall finish the process for you. Now we're gonna choose our keyboard layout. Again, the United States. How would you like to set up? We will be setting up for personal use. If you've already made an account with Microsoft, that's great. Just put in your information there. If you haven't, then you can go ahead and create an account. Create a pin. For me, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip it for now. We'll do it later. And for Cortana, this is up to you. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to. And for this one, I almost always just go ahead and turn all of them off. You can always change these settings later on. And there we go. It should be almost ready. It's gonna take several minutes as it says, and I'm gonna fast forward to when we actually get to the home screen. And then for the next part, we are gonna install drivers to finish up our complete walkthrough. Stay tuned. Alright, so if you guys have reached the home screen, then dare I say, you guys have done it. Good job. You've successfully built and installed your computer. As you guys may have noticed, I've already went ahead and customized my computer to my liking. Not fully, but just enough to enjoy it. But anyways, let's get started. Now, you can go ahead and call it a day if you want and enjoy your new computer. But if you want to keep it up to date and make sure that everything is properly working, then you can keep watching and follow me as I show you guys how to install your drivers. I made a mistake earlier saying that if you don't have a Ethernet connection to use a Wi-Fi adapter, you actually will need an Ethernet connection for this, because if for some reason your Wi-Fi adapter is not recognized by Windows, then you will need the Ethernet to be able to actually download the drivers from the website, because you will need an internet connection for that. Alright, so in this case I have my Ethernet connection plugged in because Windows actually did not recognize my Wi-Fi adapter. So we're gonna go ahead and open up your browser. We're gonna search up the manufacturer, which is for me TP-Link. There we go. Alright, from here we're gonna go into our support page. Alright, we're gonna enter the exact model of our Wi-Fi adapter. There we go. And then when you search it up, the exact model should pop up. Just click on it. Now from here, you're gonna go over to the support tab again. Okay. You want to make sure you have chosen the right hardware version, which is for me V2. Then you just want to head on over to the driver tab and you will see the latest drivers for your Wi-Fi adapter. Alright, to install this, we're just gonna go ahead and save it. For the sake of the video, I've already went ahead and saved mine, which is right here. It is under a file folder named Wi-Fi driver, so I'm not gonna do it. But when you do that, it'll make a zip file, and you're just gonna extract that zip file, which in turn will create the file folder itself. You can open up the file folder, and then you will see a list of files. but you're only going to be looking for one particular file, and that's called the setup. So just keep scrolling until you find it, and it will be under the file type of exe or executable. You're just gonna run it, download it, and follow the installation module. When you've done that, you have successfully installed your Wi-Fi adapter. Alright, once you guys have done that, we can now go ahead and install the drivers that we need to keep our computer to the latest versions. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know to do the most boring part of this installation, and that is to update your Windows 10 or whatever version you guys have. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go over to our settings page. We're gonna click update and security. For me, it's already up to date because of I've already went ahead and updated mine off camera. But for you guys who have just booted up your computer for the first time, we'll see a bunch of updates. Go ahead and just let the computer update. It may or may not take a while. Again, it depends on your computer. For me, it only took about half an hour. Anyways, let it update whatever it needs to be updated, and I'll see you when you're done. Alright, so now that you guys have done your Windows update, we can now go ahead and install the needed drivers for our computer. First thing you want to do is go over to our motherboard's manufacturer, and for mine, that would be ASRock. Oops. Okay, and now we're gonna look for our motherboard, which for me was the AB350 Pro 4 right here. Click on it. Okay, now you're gonna see everything you need to know about the motherboard itself. If you guys want to do some reading, but we're gonna head on over to a support page, and from here you can see a whole bunch of tabs. You don't need to worry much about any of them except maybe the download and BIOS. These are the only two things that you really need to know about. Let's go ahead and talk about BIOS. Again, BIOS is basically your it acts as a foundation for your computer. With that being said, BIOS updates are stuff that you shouldn't really touch on except for a few things. Okay, so for example, if your computer was having like a weird bug, a weird glitch, and when you've done your research you've heard that a particular BIOS update actually fixes it, then go ahead and actually do a BIOS update. But here's the thing, they are very risky, so do it at your own discretion. And to install a BIOS update, the installation process varies depending on the manufacturer, so just follow their manual. But anyways, let's go ahead and over to our download page. Here we can see a list of our drivers that we need, and for us there will only be 3 things that are necessities for us. Everything else is a preference or a utility basically, but the 3 things that we need are our AMD all-in-one driver, so the first one, and then our Realtek high definition audio driver, and our Realtek LAN driver. Again, for the sake of the video, I've already went ahead and done everything off camera, so this is more of a recap for me to you guys. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hit the global link for each one of them, and then it will a prompt will pop up telling you where to save it. I've already saved mine to our downloads page over here. I went ahead and organized them, but here you can see our audio driver, our LAN driver, and once you've done that, once you've downloaded it, it should have made a zip file. You're gonna extract that zip file, okay? And when you've extracted that zip file, it'll make a similar file folder. You're gonna open that folder, and then once you open that folder, you're gonna see a list of files, but you're only gonna be looking for one. This is very similar to the Wi-Fi driver adapter that I was just showing you earlier. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna look for the setup. Okay, you're gonna run it and basically follow the module, follow the steps that it tells you, and you'll be good to go. Alright, now we're gonna repeat the same process for everything else. Again, I already have them organized here. The LAN driver, do the same thing, open it, extract it, open the file, look for the setup application, run the setup, and follow the installation module, and you'll be good to go. Now, next thing you want to do is to update your graphics drivers for those of you who are gaming enthusiasts, or who are going to do some streaming or video editing. Again, same process. You're gonna head on over to your manufacturer's website. Mine was conveniently ASRock themselves, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go back to my other tab, look for my product under graphics card. Mine is the Phantom Gaming X Radeon RX 580. I'm gonna click on it. Again, go into the support page, and you're gonna see the download manual and frequently asked questions page. We're gonna head on over to the download, and here you will see two things: your graphics driver and a utility application. Phantom Gaming Tweak. This is basically the software that you would use to overclock your graphics card. So for those of you guys who are looking to do that, go ahead and install it if you want. Okay. Instructions on how to overclock your graphics card can be found online. I'm not going to show you guys in this video, just to keep it simple. Just like everything else, we're going to go ahead and hit the global link. It's going to download. Again, I already have mine up here, labeled GPU driver. You're going to extract the zip file. Okay, once you've extracted it, it's going to make a folder. You're going to hit the folder, and then there should only be one thing. Well, for me anyways, only one popped up, and that was the application itself. You're just going to run it, and as same as others, you're just follow the module, do whatever it wants you to do. Right? It may or may not ask you to download some additional files, window files, but don't panic, just do it and you'll be good to go. Okay, and pretty much you have done it. Again, if you do want to update your BIOS, follow the instructions on your motherboard's manufacturer, as it does vary depending on that. But yeah, guys, good job, you guys have done it.
So there you guys have it. Good job. You've built your own computer. You can now enjoy and feel free to do anything that you would like. Oh, do please use it responsibly, okay? I don't know how much of a value it is to you, but for me, this is pretty important because, you know, it'd be a waste of money, especially if we had a whole bunch of DOAs. Hopefully we didn't, everything worked fine. Again, if you guys have any concerns, comments, or anything that you noticed about the video, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I would very much appreciate them. Anything, okay? Negatives, positives, compliments, concerns, anything that I did wrong, because I am 100% certain that I did something wrong out of somewhere along the way. So, you know, please feel free to point it out to me, and I will happily address it. Also, if you guys would like to, I'll do like a little video of my new setup. Right now, this isn't my new setup right now. I'm still waiting for my package to arrive. But once it's arrived, I would happily show you guys a video of my new setup. Okay? I may or may not do some reviews, but you know, you never know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I don't have an outro like everybody does, so I'm just gonna keep it simple and say ciao.
Keep me where the stars are bound. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter.